Welcome to the SUTV Other Show. Today we are looking at today we are getting an inside look at the upcoming documentary SUU for Hope and exclusive interviews. Don't go anywhere. SUTV members had the opportunity to attend the film the Grand to Grand race in September. Right now I'm here with, sorry, did you fart? No. Okay, sorry. I can't. Okay, I'm fine. I know this is live. It's okay. So I'm here with one of our producers, Bailey. Don't have me anger, holy crap. So Bailey, you had the opportunity to go and film the Grand to Grand race, and you were there the first day. So tell us about how that energy was and what the whole race kind of felt like.
Yeah, so we got to Kanab like 9 o'clock in the morning, and whenever we got there, we got to the point where we were meeting with John, our professor. And it was kind of just all of a sudden you look around and there are just racers just pouring out of every hotel in the vicinity, and I was like, this is a lot of people. And then there was a lot of kind of waiting around and kind of getting ready, and then they started loading us all up onto like and there were school buses, and I feel bad for the people who were on the school buses, in vans and stuff like that. And then we just drove for 2.5 hours and over super duper bumpy roads, and we finally got out to where the Grand Canyon was. It was just absolutely gorgeous, and everyone was like, wow, we're actually here, we're actually getting started, which was so cool. And
then you got to be there halfway through the week as well and ride in the helicopter and film in the helicopter. What was that like?
Well, first of all, it was really cold.
And high, holy cow.
Yeah, so we left from the SU hangar and just kind of flew out towards where the racers were, and it was kind of like a game of where's Waldo. We were okay, we're looking at a bunch of red rock and a bunch of stuff going on. It's kind of where's the racer? You're hoping they're wearing something bright, especially looking for our guys. We didn't know exactly where they were, what was going on. But overall, it was awesome. Open doors, kind of just looking out, beautiful scenery. It was awesome.
Yeah, and you were saying earlier that it felt like so many people. I think we had there was over 100 runners there. Is that right? And then from 50 to 80 different countries. How was that, seeing them all interact with one another?
Yeah, well, you can definitely, tell, who was, used to doing stuff like this and who was kind of a little more comfortable around, other people. I feel like some people kind of, hung back because they were like, I'm kind of it's maybe my first or my second kind of Grand to Grand race. But a lot of people were just, really excited to get to meet each other, especially, if you're going to be living with them for an entire week, you want to make sure that, I can get along with my roommates. Yeah.
Yeah. That week long with starting to stink and
well, I think that I was really lucky, because I got out there and everyone was still clean and in a good mood, and everyone was like, yeah, everything's great, and I was like, great, good.
Yeah. Was it hard trying to find the runners in that mass of people when you guys first got there?
Whenever we first got, we kind of had an idea, we knew what they were wearing. We kind of had an idea of when they were supposed to show up, but it's kind of just all right, find our guys, find what they told us we're wearing, and, hope for the best and figure that all out.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
After the break, we have more exclusive interviews, so stay tuned.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. Since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to SUTV News. I'm Ansley Mikesell, and I'm here with Cairo Cook, one of the wonderful students that went out and filmed the Grand to Grand race. So you were there on the second day, is that right?
That is correct. I was there from Sunday to Monday.
And what were the runners doing that day? What was the rundown?
So on Sunday when I got there, it was about noon, and so they had just hit about their third checkpoint, and they were getting water and just kind of resting for a few minutes between running, and they had run about 20 miles so far. and they had 8 miles left. So they had about 8 miles left. And so we met up with them, filmed them for a quick second. They relaxed for a minute. Then they moved on to their last checkpoint, ran the rest of the way, and then just set up for the night. Woke up in the morning, started the race.
All right. So when they're running, do you guys have to like try to keep up with them? Did you try to run alongside them, or how's filming them like?
Well, I am not an athletic person, and we did have to run with them a few times. I did fall a lot, two times caught on camera. Probably the most embarrassing shot, though, is of me running. We did have to keep up with them, and since they are athletic, and I'm not, it was a challenge. Plus, we're running alongside holding cameras, and so running over sagebrush and things like that. So we did end up tripping a few times, but we did have to end up keeping up with them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the blooper we'll see later today, I think has one of the shots of you falling.
Oh,
kind of excited to see that.
I'm really dreading that, but okay, fine.
I'm sure it's great. So what was like your favorite aspect of being there? Was there something that there was like a takeaway, or just something you enjoyed doing? What was your favorite?
I really enjoyed being around. So there was people from about 80 countries there, maybe less. I could be just grasping at straws, but they all seemed so connected, never meeting before, anything. They were all so happy to be, after running 30 miles in one day, afterwards just sitting around the fire, eating what little food they could carry in their bags, talking and just laughing together like they'd been friends forever, and that was really incredible to see.
So, did you get to have a lot of conversations with the runners as well?
I did have quite a few, mostly with the other photographers and people there, but I got a few chances to talk to people, like some people from like Sweden and England and stuff, which was really amazing, and then a lot with our runners as well.
That's wonderful. It sounds like a great experience to be able to sit down with them. I mean, I definitely know because I got to do
I was gonna say, wait.
Yeah, but with it being like one of the first days, was there a difference between maybe because I was there later in the week, how was their like stamina that first day? Were they like dreading how many miles they were running? How was it like?
Really, President Scott Wyatt was really struggling. His knee was really hurting him, and his face just looked like miserable, so much pain he was in. Bill and Johnny looked fine. They were still pretty hopeful, but really it was President that was kind of lagging behind a little bit. The rest of the runners seemed completely fine. Really the only one that I could really tell or read from was President Wyatt struggling.
Well, it sounds like an incredible experience to be there earlier in the week. Thank you so much for coming and letting me interview you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So coming up, we'll be watching the trailer and see kind of what these students have been working on.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back. I'm here with our trailer creators, Colton, Aaron, and G. So mainly, you guys, the question I have is, what was it like to create a trailer for this documentary? Obviously, it's a little different than creating a full documentary. So I just want you guys to maybe take your turns in going through the process of how this kind of happened.
Yeah, for a trailer, you know, like what we talked about with John, is we did not want to go, you know, day by day, pretty much what a documentary is. For a trailer, we wanted to mix it up. We wanted to pretty much show every single highlight. So, of course, we showed them finishing. You know, we showed the beginning of the race. We showed some of the, you know, hardships, but yet some of the, you know, the good things that were happening in the race. But me and Aaron pretty much worked on at least like a lot of the video, a lot of the, I guess, the beginning parts of the trailer. And then G over here can explain his part.
Well, I took over after they chose the clip and they put them all together in a timeline, and then I went through the process of making them looking a little more cinematic by color grading or adjusting audio and yeah, these kind of things, or motion graphics, so some information on screen.
Right.
Yeah.
So how about the music? Because that's a huge part of any trailer, and I love the music in the trailer. How was creating that or coming up with that? 'Cause I know copyright can be kind of messy sometimes.
Yeah, so Jaden, our audio guy, he gave us about maybe 10 options to pick from, and what we decided on was we were shooting for an emotional story. We wanted to capture the highs and the lows of our runners, and the song we picked, we felt just best fit what we were trying to do with that.
Wonderful. Well, I know all of the feedback we have received is completely positive right now, so let's watch this.
I'm so over this. I'm ready to be done. Regardless of what happens in your life, you've got to have the grit, the mental fortitude to just power through it. And so doing something like this, I think, teaches grit.
You cannot develop strength by living a life of ease. Someone can give you gifts of things, possessions, but nobody can give you a gift of character.
If you're struggling, if you're ever wondering if you can do it, man, I don't know if I can do it. I'm here to give you that hope. I know you can.
Until you've pushed yourself as far as you can go, and then pushed yourself a little further, and a little further, that's when you start discovering what's in you.
Welcome back to SUTV. I'm Ansley Mikesell, and I'm here with Race Knudsen, one of our current anchors for this year, but you also went to the Grand to Grand and got to film. So tell us what day you were there and what was going on.
So I was there from Tuesday morning to Wednesday morning, the 24-hour shift, and it was during their longest period of running during the 53-miler day, and it was just brutal on those guys. I mean, it was really tough.
What was that like? What did they have to do for those who don't know?
So they came in, and I mean, they had been running already for 2 days, and so when we got there, we were waiting at the checkpoint, and they came in, and I mean, they looked fairly energetic. You know, they still had, you know, they were chugging along pretty good. But then when we got to that next base camp, Base Camp 3, we were just kind of waiting for them to come across the coral pink sand dunes, which was that huge stretch of just, I mean, crawling through sand. And, you know, they talked about how, you know, you go it feels like 3 steps for every 1 step, I think is what Scott Wyatt ended up saying. And so that was really, you know, just inspiring to see them come in that morning, because we, you know, we got to Base Camp 3, spent the night, woke up that next morning, and we kind of drove out a little bit to see if we could find them, and we actually ran with them the last probably mile, maybe a mile and a quarter, to the base camp while we were filming, you know, holding the camera out there, getting some really good shots. And I mean, they just, you know, Johnny O, he was leading them, and then it was Bill Hayborn and then Scott Wyatt at the end, and I mean, they're not really much talking, you know, they were just kind of really concentrating and trying to get to the camp
down,
and just stop walking, you know, stop running.
Right. So how was that like? Cairo earlier was explaining her struggles with trying to film and keep up with the runners. How was that for you guys? Did you run with them a lot of the time?
Yeah, we did just for like a little section, but mostly that Wednesday morning as they were coming in. I mean, they'd been running all night. I think they maybe slept 2 hours at one of the checkpoints just after they crossed the dunes. So we didn't really have to run necessarily. We were kind of just fast walking at a fast walking pace, but we were running back and forth to just get different shots, because we would go all the way, you know, in front to get Johnny O, and we might go all the way back to get President Wyatt, and all 3 of them in a line, you know. So we were running back and forth among them, and they were probably paced out maybe over 100, 150 feet. Right. So we were kind of running around just back and forth in that little area, and it was enough exercise for me though, for that day. I mean, I couldn't even imagine, you know, what they were going through. Being in their
spot,
exactly. I wouldn't not want to be in their shoes.
And you didn't have to get up early when they were hiking through the dunes at night, right? When it was
no, we didn't get any footage of them at night through the sand dunes. We got back to the base camp probably around 8:30 or 9, and then just called it a night and got up a little bit early, because runners were trickling in through the night. You know, they were coming in slowly, some of the faster ones. So we got up about 6 in the morning, filmed some of the you know, the other participants coming in across the finish line, and, you know, just seeing them so tired. I mean, just unbelievably tired.
Yeah,
you know,
I
they get to
bet.
that camp, and that was their day to just kind of rest and sack out in the tents and just kind of recuperate a little bit.
Right. One more thing I wanted to ask you about. So, I mean, you're an anchor here on the show, reading from teleprompters, that kind of thing. But then for the documentary, you do a lot of like the stand-up kind of segments of being the narrator for the entire film. And I know you guys filmed some shots of you out in the wilderness with a microphone and everything. How was that as compared to what you do here in the studio?
It was a little bit different because it was kind of, we would go to the location we want to do the stand-up and just kind of make up the dialogue on the spot.
Right.
You know, there wasn't any teleprompter out there. There was nothing to read from. So I just kind of had to repeat in my mind, you know, the phrases that we wanted to go through as part of the script for the narration for the documentary. So it was a little bit different. It wasn't too challenging, but it was a little bit of a mix-up from the normal just sit and read from the teleprompter.
Right.
We got to be out in some really cool spots and got some good stand-up. So it took probably 20-30 minutes for each stand-up. We would go through and do it again and again, just to make sure we got a good take. So.
Well, thank you for coming and telling us about it. Like Ray said, sometimes it's a little hard when you're out there trying to film. And coming up, we're going to be watching the bloopers of some of the stuff that happened while we were out there trying to film the Grant to Grant. Don't go anywhere.
What could possibly go wrong, right?
Good job. Good job. Amazing. Now, David, remember it?
We can't use that, man.
We're about to get some gnarly footage of these guys just sending it down the mountain. Yeah. If you look to my right, you'll find the wonderful porta potties. That's a good place to take a dump.
On camera. What are you gonna do?
Hello. Did you sleep well?
I got yelled at for snoring.
Oh!
Rosa Wyatt, how you doing?
Well, we spent a half an hour at the last stop patching up the blisters and hot spots. But other than that, it's going well. Bill caught a great big tarantula.
Yes, Cairo.
Hey.
And then to my left, nothing but miles and miles of sagebrush, trees, and yucca. That's a fun word. Yucca. Like, that's what I say when I smell the porta potties, man. Yucca! Righteous! What was I supposed to say?
Where?
Had a brain fire. With no trees on the ground. Okay, gotcha. Here we go.
Wait, I have to be in front. I'm filming. Oh. Good. Are you good? Okay, sorry. Good save, good save.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Welcome back to SUTV. I'm Ansley Mikesell, and I am here with Marina, who is one of our students from Spain, which is so fun. And she was part of the Grand to Grand filming, but you got to be there on the last day.
Yeah.
We were together on the last day when they finished the entire race. What was it like being a part of this whole project, especially at the very end?
I mean, it was like, I had never expected this. You know, I come from Spain and I was here just to study, and suddenly this huge opportunity. So I was like pretty excited. At the very beginning, I was like, "Oi, I don't know how to do it, to not skip classes and be able to go." But I could make it, and we went, and I think we had a really good time. And, you know, I learned a lot.
What was your favorite aspect of being there? What did you like to do the most?
Okay, so I like two aspects. One, like the academic aspect, that, you know, like you learn how to be prepared for this type of races, and, you know. And then also I like to be like in that type of race, because I don't think I'm never gonna run that things.
Yeah,
so
me
it was
neither.
a really good like way of being like near and close to that without having to run.
Yeah, you can say I was at the Grand to Grand race. I didn't run it.
I mean, you
but
don't
I
have to
was
say
there.
that you didn't run. You just,
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah, so one of the cool things that we got to film was them crossing the finish line. What was that like? Explain the energy to those who weren't there.
Wow. I mean, the energy was great. Everyone was cheering them a lot, and they were so happy. They had food. They had all their relatives there, and I really loved that moment. And some of them cried. They were just, you know, so emotional because they achieved it. They did it. You know, they ran the G2G race.
Yeah, and also the daughter and the mom for the childcare, Elena and little Hope, were there, and we got to meet them. Explain maybe who they are and how that was.
Wow. Okay, so Elena and Hope, and well, all the whole family, other Elena's sons, they were so nice, super like great people. Hope was super cute.
She's
so cute, and you could tell that they were so happy and so proud of our team, of being able to do that for them, you know, running for Hope.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was just so like a lot of emotions.
Yeah, there was like positive emotions, and the night before we did those interviews with the runners. That was like really emotional as well.
I know.
What? Tell some people about what that was like.
I mean, I think like the happy one was Johnny. Johnny O, he was always like looking the positive part, and then President Scott Wyatt and Bill, they were a little bit also emotional, but Bill is more like
He's
a
like
fun
playful.
guy.
Yeah, he
He's
likes to
just
make jokes.
and
Yeah.
Johnny was also looking the emotional part. That they were like pretty excited about it. It was the last night, and they were so tired of the week before.
Yeah.
But they were there and doing it for Hope
and ready to finish.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming. I think that was a special experience for us to be able to be there together and see them cross the finish line, and how they were so like inspirational to see their faces as they crossed. Don't go anywhere. After the break, we'll be interviewing Professor John Smith, who was at the race for the entire week, and ask him a few questions about that.
Travel is part of the American way of life.
When we're on vacation, we keep an eye out for anything that looks out of place.
Miss your bag.
When we travel from city to city, we pay attention to our surroundings.
Everyone plays a role in keeping our community safe.
Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, be aware of your surroundings. If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Welcome back to the SUTV Other Show. Today we've heard from some of the students who helped film the Grand to Grand race, but now I'm joined by the mastermind behind this whole project, our Professor John Smith. So, unlike us who were there for 24-hour increments, you were there the entire week. How was that for you?
It was a great opportunity to see the racers start from their clean, healthy selves to how they had their ups and downs during the week. So that was very rewarding. It was interesting to see the TV students come and have their a range of experiences, all the way from getting up early to get the start of the race, get the sunset, the moon rising, and just real rich and deep experiences throughout the week. It was a great experience.
And you had said to me earlier today that some people kind of got confused when you would tell them that you were there the entire week and that they thought you ran it with the racers. So tell us what you did do and what you definitely did not do during that week.
So when people ask me, you were there the whole week, did you run the race? I said, no, I run 10 seconds before a checkpoint and 10 seconds after a checkpoint.
That's enough for me.
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
And, so I was there the whole time and just sleeping in the tents on the ground. I actually slept in my car for a couple of the nights too. It was actually because of the change of pace every day, change of scenery every day. It was a great experience to be out there.
So you mentioned when you were talking before that we would come and have to meet you and having different students each day. How was that trying to kind of govern that transition between new students coming and going and all of that? Like could have been mayhem.
So we had about 12 students in the class, and so for over the 6 days I wanted to have 2 students come and meet me every day. And so I kind of scoured the maps and determined approximately where the runners might be at about noon every day. I wanted to be meeting in the middle of the day in case there was any mishaps and getting together. And so I just kind of took a pretty good guess as to where to meet on these roads that were out in the middle of Kane County in pretty remote areas. And because there's very little self-service out there, it was kind of a gamble that the students would be out there, but all the students showed up on time and ready to go.
Yeah, it was like a miracle kind of, but it ended up working out just fine. So with this documentary that we're creating all together, how did that come to be? How did that, I mean, you're the mastermind with how this project even happened.
I can't remember exactly when I heard that the president was going to run a race, but as a video producer, I'm very interested in getting really interesting pictures and really compelling stories. And when I heard this race, I said, yes, we have to go out and do that. And so I tried to immediately get permission from the 3 runners to get their authorization to do it. And then I had to get permission from the race organizers to be on location. And actually, we had to pay for our food and lodging, which wasn't that cheap, but it actually worked out quite well for our students to be out there and have access to the racers, and everything fell into place quite well.
So explain kind of how the process is going to go. I mean, we're here and we're creating it with you, but for those who don't know the film production process, how long is it going to take to make, and what are the steps that go into making it?
So we're in the middle of editing right now, and so a few students at a time sit down at an editing bay and go through the shots. And first they're going to edit their section that they primarily filmed, and then we're going to take a look at the whole documentary. It's going to be hopefully about 20 minutes long. And then we add the music in and try to really focus on the intense emotional parts of the film and try to tell the story of these runners raising money for and awareness for a child care center on the university campus.
And if I remember correctly, the premiere will be in December, right?
December 3rd at 7 o'clock in the Great Hall on SUU campus. We'd love to invite everybody to come and watch.
Oh, we're so excited for that. Thank you for joining us on SUTV. I'm Ansley Mikesell. We now leave you with the highlight reel from the Grand to Grand race.